Why do you have to wear shoes while menstruating? I've never heard of this before. I'm very curious. So many people are wondering and asking, like, why is this? And I get it. Like, it does. If you never heard of this before, it sounds a little cuckoo. I get it. But when I was growing up in the Amish culture, it was just something that they taught. And here's the reason behind it. It wasn't anything about, that your uterus is going to get dirty or anything like that. It was more or less the way that they taught us is if your feet get cold, that can then affect your menstruation and therefore later on in life affect you having children. So basically affecting childbearing, and they are all about, having kids, because my mom had 19. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but an aunt of mine has 21 kids. She beat my mom. And my mom's mom had 18. So I don't know if they were in competition or not. But anyway, lots of kids. But with that being said, menstrual cycles were a very, very private thing. Like, we did not talk about it much. Our brothers were actually not allowed to know. I know some of them did know, but there are Amish men that get married, and the first time that they hear about a woman's menstrual cycle is after they get married. It's a very, very private thing. I did not know anything about a menstrual cycle and what happens until I got my first one. And I thought I was dying and I needed to go to the hospital. I was like, Mom, what is happening? Like, I'm dying. Like, I got to go to the hospital. And my mom goes, oh, it's fine. It's going to happen every month. And I was like, what? I was in school still. And I still remember this morning. And I'm like telling her, and it was like right before it was time to go to school. And Mom's like, and we walked 3 miles one way to school and then back. And Mom goes, well, you can't go to school today. And I was like, what are you talking about? I got to go to school. I have a test today. I got to go do a test. And so she goes, well, then you can go to school and you can walk to school, but you can't run. So we were not allowed. Here are some things that we were not allowed to do. We were not allowed to run. We were not allowed to go barefoot. And we were not allowed to lift heavy things like a bucket of water, anything that was really heavy. And we were not allowed to mop the floors. I don't know why we were not allowed to mop the floors, except it was hard, strenuous work, because we had a traditional like cloth mop and you had to like wring it out, and then we had lots of floors to mop. So we're not allowed to do that. In the summer, we were not allowed to go outside and garden. So basically in the summer, when we got our cycle, for the first 2 to 3 days at least, sometimes more, we would we would do sewing and quilting. So think of yourself as going into crocheting or sewing when you get your cycle. And you just kind of like took it easy. So you did light housework. And then once you were through, you could go back to normal things. So some people are like, oh, so every time a woman is wearing her shoes in the summer, everybody knows that they're on their cycle. Kind of, but not really. Like, the young kids don't know anything about it because they're not taught any of that, obviously. And then our brothers, like, they weren't supposed to know. So I know some of them did. So kind of like pregnancy is really, really private as well. I've talked about this in a previous video, so you can check that out. But it's sort of like the same concept. So yeah, that was the purpose. Big reason behind it was that it would affect your childbearing years for later on.